I would like to talk a little bit about the Megatrends 2020. There are Megatrends which Sitra published in the beginning of the year, and we can move to the next slide. The Megatrends are sort of dynamics or forces for change which will have a tremendous impact to our life, but they are not self-fulfilling prophecies. Man can influence the directions of these megatrends. But anyway, they are present, they are currently present, they will be present in our life anyway in the future. And that's why it makes sense to consider how to give, what is the way to give the best possible direction to these forces for change. The megatrends you can see in this picture are the 5. Relational power is strengthening, technology is becoming embedded in everything, the economy is seeking new direction, and the population is aging and diversifying. But at the center, which we consider the most important, is the ecological reconstruction is a matter of urgency. And this particular megatrend brings me to today's agenda. This megatrend is also present, and around this challenge, a lot will happen in already today, but also and especially in the future. People are increasingly interested in this topic. General awareness is rising, and multiple number of measures are and will be taken around this development. How do we respond to climate change? How about decreasing biodiversity, the dwindling availability of resources, and waste-related problems? So those are just a few examples of different dimensions of ecological reconstruction need. The climate challenge is already well known challenge, and lots of action has been taken to address the climate change. But biodiversity loss is less known, but will be a key factor in our life within the next 5 years, I would say. So if I should bet something, biodiversity loss will be as topical, as hot topic or an issue as the climate change has been and will be. So it's real, and general awareness of this problem is increasing, and it also will have a significant impact to the other megatrends, like the economy, how the new economy should take into account. We already know that climate change has been incorporated to many businesses' strategies, but how the new economy will take into account the biodiversity loss, and also technology's relation to address these ecological crises will be very important issue. The black dots, which you can see in the picture, they are tensions. It illustrates they illustrates tensions. For instance, there's a clear tension between the economy and the need for ecological reconstruction. Whether the business or whether the economy sees nature only as a source of resource, or will the economy improve the state of the environment? This is clear tension. Also, there's a tension between economy and technology, because there is a clear change in work and consumption patterns. For instance, e-commerce is increasing, especially during the COVID-19 crisis, but also more generally speaking, and there are more consumers than before asking whether e-commerce is sustainable or not, or what kind of packages are used for e-commerce purposes, or are the packages recycled or not. So this kind of tensions are rising. But if looking at coming back to the biodiversity issue and concentrating on Finland just briefly, it's true that Finland's biodiversity continues to degrade. Some 12% of species and close to 50% of habitat types are threatened. The positive news is that so far none of our habitat types have been lost and nature values can still be restored. But nobody's clearly sure if we can or how big portion of this 12% of species can be protected or conserved. And this may become a major issue. The list 2019 or the red list of Finnish species 2019 indicates that some 30% which are endangered live primarily in forests. And this brings the forest policy and forests to the center of a megatrend. Of course, for forests have been in the megatrend also because of carbon sinks and climate policy, but biodiversity is a new thing, or it's not a new, but it's rising thing which comes back to the forest related policies and issues. The socio-economic cases for more ambitious biodiversity action is clear. Thousands of valuation studies are available at local, regional, and global scales, providing estimates of the benefits delivered by biodiversity and ecosystem services. The benefits derived from biodiversity and ecosystem services are considerable, but the problem is that they are systemically undervalued or unvalued in day-to-day decisions, market prices, and economic accounting. And this is something we have to change. To protect biodiversity, we need to do a lot more than just establish new conservation areas. We need to create market mechanisms that allow businesses to take biodiversity into account in their activities, in all their activities, and create nature-based circular solutions. Forests are the basis for producing wood as a raw material, food and ecosystem services such as carbon sinks, and as well and well-being services such as health and recreation. However, the renewable assets such as forest must be used wisely, as global pressure for material use has already surpassed Earth's carrying capacity. Finland's export of forest goods have traditionally focused on cellulose and cardboard products. In the future, I see new opportunities in higher added value products, and this demand is closely linked to the overall demand for new types of consumption. So what I want to say is that bio-based circular economy is part of the solution, but replacing oil-based products by biomass-based products is not good enough. If bio-based businesses is similarly linear as fossil-based businesses are, it's not sustainable. So the consumer pressure is growing, and I believe that there will be a demand for three things. First, and the combination of three. First, bio-based products, and second, which can be recycled, and which raw material doesn't destroy biodiversity. So this triangle could be partial solution to this biodiversity challenge which is ahead of us. Now I would like to show you the last slide. I don't want to say too much about the COVID crisis, but only to highlight that this current disruption can be used as a enormous opportunity, because spiritual tectonic plates, if you like, are more open at the moment. So people are more ready for changes, and if looking at the need to stimulate our economies and looking at how much public resources are using for stimulating the economy, it raises a question whether we stimulate new economy or old economy. And if we concentrate on the EU level, I really would like to see that at least half of all the stimulus efforts made would be geared towards research and innovation policies, financing new innovations, both private and public. And I would like to earmark this money mostly to circular based economic innovations and data economy innovations. So megatrends help assess the impact of the change, or this time pandemic, and certain changes may be amplified depending on what kind of choices we make. But I'm sure that this is a big opportunity to address the biggest challenges which we have already identified before COVID, and which have not actually disappeared during the COVID crisis.